At the beginning of this film, we see a man named Paul who was sitting in a theater reading a book. Paul used to work in this theater. When he goes to change the movie while reading the book, all the lights of the theater are turned off and darkness falls everywhere. When Paul went outside, there was no one outside. Only the emergency lights were on and people's clothes were lying everywhere. The security guard comes from outside, and he is also very surprised when he sees all this. The entire theater was empty, where there was a crowd of people some time ago, but now it was completely deserted. Paul and the security guards start looking for people together. The light of Paul's helmet was also about to be switched off. When he hit it hard, it turned on. When he sees the security guard, he has also disappeared. Paul sees a black shadow following him and runs away. In this scene, we see a girl who was looking for her 9-month-old baby here and there. His eyes fell on a man in the operation theater who was undergoing surgery, but no doctor was present. Only doctor's clothes were lying there. Suddenly, the light turns off and that patient also disappears. Now in this scene, we see a character whose name is Luke, and he was a news reporter. One day when he woke up in the morning and found his wife at home, she was nowhere to be found. He gets ready for his office as usual and comes out of his apartment while reading newspaper. When he comes out and looks, he sees vehicles parked everywhere and a plane crashes a little away. 3 days pass and we see Luke trying to start the car. Suddenly a panicked man comes to him and starts asking for a flashlight, but Luke doesn't listen to him, and after some time a black shadow makes the man disappear. Seeing all this, Luke panics and gets out of his car. Meanwhile, we see a little girl who was watching Luke. The girl also had a flashlight in her hand. Luke goes to a truck and sees some lights from inside the truck. He takes all these things and comes to a club whose lights were also fluctuate. Luke rushes to the basement of the club and turns up the power of the generator, which fixes the lights. He finds a guy in the basement with a gun and brings Luke out of the basement. Luke explains to the boy that if you kill me, there will be no one here to help you, and you will be alone. Luke asks the boy his name. He says, "My name is James." James tells Luke that my dad owns the club and my mom has gone to the nearby church to ask for help. Luke tells him that you come with me, because the light that is here is coming from the generator. As soon as the generator runs out of oil, the lights will also turn off. But James refuses to go with him because his mom told him to stay at the club. Luke tells his that it's only 11 in the morning, and it's so dark outside that the sun won't be out for much longer. Whoever lives in darkness, the black shadow will make that person disappear. But still James was not ready to go with him. That's when the girl whom we saw in the hospital who was looking for her child comes here. She comes here and asks both of them about her child. Luke tells him that there is no one else here but us. That girl was like crazy. He picks up a gun from here and fires a shot. When she calms down a bit, she tells them both that I was not happy to my husband. I thought that my husband must have stolen my child and brought him here because he often used to come to this club. Now in this scene, we are shown the past of this girl, that she was a doctor. One day when she was doing her duty in the hospital and went out for a while to smoke, suddenly all the lights went off. There is a black shadow which started disappearing one by one, except those who had light. She survived because she had the light of a lighter. The next morning, when she came to her house, her child had also disappeared. Luke asks the girl, "How are you still alive?" She takes out many lights from her bag that shine in the darkness, because of which she is still alive. All of them heard a man's voice from outside who was calling for help. Luke goes out with his light and sees a man at the bus stand who is none other than Paul, who we saw in the theater earlier in the story. Luke picks his up and starts to bring with him to the club, but on the way his light goes off, due to which the shadow starts moving towards them. Luke quickly turns on his second light, causing the shadow to stop there. Inside the club, James also hears his mother's voice, on hearing which he starts to go out, but soon the lady doctor stops him, otherwise James would have been enveloped by shadow. This means that the shadow would show people strange sounds and thoughts as if their loved ones were calling them and then make them disappear. When Luke is bringing Paul to the club, his light also goes out, but he somehow brings him inside the club. When Paul regains consciousness, Luke asks him about it. He says that I was working in a theater and I was attacked by a black shadow and I don't know what happened to me next. When I regained consciousness, I somehow reached the bus stand where there was a light. Paul says that maybe aliens have come to our world and they have attacked our world. Lady Doctor says that there is nothing like that. I think that maybe God is punishing us and this is the result of our sins. The club's lights are back on and they all go to the basement to fix the generator where Paul tells them a story. He says that many people used to live in a city, but when the government sent trucks to them for food supply, there was no one there. The whole city was suddenly deserted, and all the people had disappeared. When the research team went there, they found a word written on the wall. Lady Doctor says what the word meant. Paul says that no one has understood the meaning of this word till today. Maybe it was a kind of warning. While telling all these things, Paul faints because he is still quite injured. Luke and the Lady Doctor pick him up and lay him on the pool table. Luke goes to get ice for her where he has some memories from his past that when he went to the office he saw some videos after his wife disappeared. Seeing them, he realized that people were disappearing due to a black shadow. He also saw a video of another man who was telling that everyone must keep a light with them, otherwise the shadow will come and take them with it. The man said that he is attracted to shadows, and he found out about it when he heard the voice of his brother who died 7 years ago. In his video, he asks everyone to come to Chicago and also gives his number. As Luke is about to write the number, the lights go out and he sees a black shadow. Before the shadow attacks Luke, he quickly removes the curtains from all the windows to let in the light and the shadow leaves. As Luke sits remembering all this, he tells everyone in the club about the man he saw the video of. Luke says we all have to go to Chicago because there are people alive, and I've got a truck with a battery still running, but we have to push it here somehow. Everyone agrees with him. Luke and Lady Doctor go out to get the truck. He left James at the club to take care of Paul. After they leave, James also starts having strange thoughts. He is seen by many people in the club. Suddenly, Paul regains consciousness when he asks James for water. When he goes to get water for Paul, the club lights go out. Outside the club, while Luke and Lady Doctor are trying to fix the truck, Luke injures his foot. They both sit there and think to rest for a while. Both of them see a little girl in front of them and call to them so that they can help this girl. But when the girl sees the shadow coming behind them, she runs away from there. Luke tries to stop the girl and runs after her. Due to running fast, he falls down and his light also goes off. The shadow was fast moving towards Luke, and seeing this, the Lady Doctor quickly switches on the light of the truck, which saves Luke's life. At the club, James had not yet brought water to Paul. When he goes to find James, James's light was on in the bathroom and he himself was missing. Paul now reaches the basement looking for her where he sees a tunnel. When he goes inside, there was a wall ahead and that shadow attacks him. Paul wakes up, which means he was having a dream. Now in reality the lights of the club are turned off and the shadow has disappeared. James was saved by his light, and when he came to see Paul, he only had clothes lying there and he himself had disappeared. On the other hand, the lights of Luke and Lady Doctor's truck were also going to be turned off. Luke now tries to light a torch from the truck's gasoline to give some light, but neither did they have any match or lighter. The Lady Doctor quickly brings Luke to a nearby hospital where she used to work. There they see a match with which they quickly light the fire and save their lives. Suddenly the Lady Doctor hears the sound of her baby crying, and she comes out following the sound. She sees a cradle in the middle of the road. When she went to see him, the cradle was empty. Actually, that shadow wanted to mislead him, and the Lady Doctor also disappears because she got into the darkness without any light. Seeing this, Luke also gets scared and rushes inside the club. He quickly takes James with him and takes out the fuel from the generator and puts it in the truck and leaves here. Luke had come quite far from this place with James. He sees that the bonnet of the truck is open, so when he stops the truck at one place and starts to fix the bonnet, James' eyes fall on the church in front. He thought that his mother might still be inside the church. Luke tries to stop James, but he is not ready to accept any of his words. James notices a shadow inside the church, then Luke fixes the truck and brings it back and tells James to come back, but James doesn't listen. Suddenly, The light of the truck turns off and Luke also disappears. Seeing this, James is very afraid and he goes and sits between the burning candles in the church. But slowly all the candles are extinguished. When morning comes, we see that one candle was still burning because James had not yet disappeared. After some time, the same girl who ran away after seeing Luke comes there. As James starts to leave the church, the girl stops him and shows him her solar light, which is why she was still alive. She asks James to go with her. When they both come out of the church, they see a horse on which they go away. With this, the story of the film also ends. You must give your valuable opinion in the comment section of how you liked the story of this movie. Thank you.